This is the Habitat, a survival-ready, Crunch Econ compatible space station designed as a functional spawn hub and trade outpost. And if you haven't already, this is where you're going to download Torch and install it. And then here is where you're going to search for Crunch Econ V3. Be sure to go to their Discord and learn how to set up it properly. Now, if you haven't already, this is where you're going to find the Habitat and subscribe to it in the workshop. And also be sure to get to the GitHub files that I've included. Some of these files are necessary and you don't need all of them. The store files are there as an example and you can edit them and change them to however you like. And it's recommended to actually just kind of set up your own store to begin with. Here is where you're going to find the Crunch Econ files, your store configs, your station. Preferably you're going to want to spawn the station and then use the command to create it as a Crunch Econ station, as well as the scripts folder for all the scripts that you're going to need. And here you're going to find your station management logic and block and grid by, as well as any other scripts and logic that you're going to place in that folder. This is where you're going to find your station file after you've made it a station. And here you're gonna find what we are showcasing here is the airlock system. It can be a little buggy, and I would say initial spawn, do some admin configuring, make sure the sensors are set properly. That way people can go in and out properly. You may have to further configure that. Here's where you're going to spawn and where you're going to find the trading area, as well as the purchasable blocks / your living spaces that you can purchase. There's 2 floors on either side, a total of 28 living spaces. Each setup, C and D are each set up as the same. A and B are uniquely on their own. Every unit in A and B are not the same. More of a lounge area. That's an example of what one of the units would look like if you were to purchase this one. You would get all of this. C and D are the only ones that do not have windows. A4 and B4 are the only 2 that have double cryopods, so these are designed to have 2 crews, 2 engineers. And this is how I've set up the stores. You can customize the stores however you'd like. And now I'm showing that you can designate where all the items go with the station management logic, which I will show here in the future on that file. So in order to set it up as a econ station, make sure you create a neutral faction. I'm using a secondary account, but it's also owned as an NPC, so there's no issue there. I use that secondary account for testing. So now here you're going to make it a econ station with these commands. Of course, you should be learning this already in the Crunch Discord. Adding sub just helps if you're going to have more than one of the same station and updates the GPS location of those points of where they are spawned in. And this is how you would add logic to your station. Afterward, you're going to go in and edit the station file. That's why I was showing you where the station file was earlier. You are not going to place the station file there. It's going to be generated. And here, this is where you can name the cargo containers to however you want. If it's blank, it's just going to find any cargo container that's owned by that S.E.E.S or however you set it up. Again, when you set up the stores, this is just more of an example of how I've set up the stores. You use the command Crunch Econ export store. It'll generate files pertaining on the store name that you use. If you are using other scripts, I would suggest naming these stores very unique, as you may have complications such as with S.E.E.S inventory manager, and I've not fully tested that out. Now over here is going to be an example of how you set up the custom data for the block purchasing for your living spaces or apartments or however you are going to set it up. Of course, more of this information will be in the Crunch Discord. As you can see, you're using a purchase ID number. You have to use that purchase ID number in all these other blocks. And with the custom data, you can change the prices dynamically on the fly. You can set it if it needs reputation for the faction or not, which in my case, I do not need reputation to purchase anything here, as it is designed as an optional spawn. And then you need to have a toggleable block. Typically it's used as the LCD for the block button, because that is how the configuration is used, by toggling something on and off. And then here, this is what it would look like after you purchase. The button disappears, your name, the person that's purchased will show up as the owner of the block, and that would be your Steam ID or player ID. And then here is your grid purchasing. Same custom type data, just a little more to it. You can set up a custom GPS point instead of having it spawn within a minimum and maximum distance. When it's left blank, this GPS, spawn GPS, when it's left blank, it'll use the min-max distance. Now note, in Crunch Econ, the reason I've uploaded the block and grid by is because I merged two of those two scripts to become one. So you won't find the block and grid by typically in the scripts channel on Crunch's Discord. And how you export and import grids if you're going to set up your own grid purchasing. Now, this is how you would set up the habitat for a torch server with the Crunch Econ V3 plugin. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial / preview video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit like if you've liked this video. Thank you.